Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Building Empires Network. You have your special host, Andrea Cruz, and Miss Beautiful Lady in Red. And today we have a special guest, the money doctor, Miss Maria Rebollar.
Yay! No, thank you guys so much for having me. And I want to honor y'all and salute y'all for being dos mujeres latinas empresarias.
Thank you. Dos mujeres un camino.
There it is, girl, right there.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all having me. And so, hey, I love how other cultures support each other so much, and I'm like, it's time for us to come on, y'all, let's
collaborate.
applaud one another, collaborate.
Right.
And so I appreciate y'all.
Yes,
so thank you.
Thank you.
Good,
So I was noticing I had done an announcement, the first one, and then I had to delete it because I had misspelled your name.
Uh-oh.
She always tells me it's like red, but B turned around. And so I was like, okay, it's Red, R-E-D, and then B-O-L-L. So I put Rebollar.
Oh, it's okay.
You never hear me always say that, Rebollar?
So I'm so glad that you're saying that because I used to have my TV shows. For those who don't know me, I used to have my TV shows. Been on Telemundo, ESPN. I've been on other multiple platforms. And my production team, it's so funny you're saying that. Maybe that's confirmation. They wanted me to change the B to D so it can be Red Dollar.
Yeah.
Red Dollar. Oh my God.
Red Dollar, because we're teaching on how you can eliminate the financial cancer in your life that I promise you a lot of us don't even know that we have. And that's what we were talking about earlier, that you can have more degrees than a thermometer, honey, but you're not learning. They're not teaching us financial education in the university, and so that's what we teach. That's what we're all about. And we want to do a free personal financial statement. So like I was saying, I've been in real estate all my life. I started when I was 16. I don't say this to impress y'all. Please hear my heart. I say this to press upon y'all the importance of financial education because I bought my first investment property when I was 18. When I was 21, I was already a six-figure income earner, but who cares? It's not what you make, it's what you keep, right? And so then I fell in love with real estate because I wanted to educate, number one, my Latino community, because I am a first generation Latina that came from Mexico. And even though I went to college, I started college when I was in high school, but nobody taught me the fundamentals of money. So I fell in love with real estate because I was like, let me teach my mom. Why didn't she buy a house? Let me teach my tío, right? So then fast forward 10 years ago, I was introduced to financial services platform, and I had the same deseo ardiente, like who's teaching my Latino community? And it's not about race. I'm going to tell you, that's just how I started. I started because I was like, oh my God, why didn't no one talk to my dad? Right. And so then I noticed after I started doing this, I'm like, it's not just the Latinos. We live in the wealthiest country in the world, but most live paycheck to paycheck. And we live in the wealthiest country in the world, but I promise you that most people that you talk to, if you ask them, hey, what are you going to do when it's time to retire? They don't know. And so then I fell in love with the mission of, again, educating. So and that's
nice.
That's the message that we're preaching. So for your real estate audience, because I know that that's what you guys focus on and y'all do incredibly with, what we want to teach you is, and then here's the other thing, hear me out. We want your show to go nationwide, right? Right. And so I am in 50 states. So I don't care if you're listening from California, Florida, New York. We have free workshops. We have workshops via Zoom, or we have workshops in person, where we're just teaching you how to make wiser financial decisions.
Guys, and these classes are free. Oh my God.
That's not something you get, right?
That's amazing that you do that, because not a lot of people would invest their time for free. Because they feel that they're like, oh, I tell them, but they don't listen to me, so they're just like, we're done.
And so I do have a question for your audience and for you ladies. I'd like to ask you, have you ever heard of Susie Orman?
Yes.
Okay.
Love her.
Dave Ramsey?
Yes.
Okay. Merrill Lynch, Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, right? For your audience, right? I want you to answer that question. Okay. The reality is, because I know they're readers, so that's why they I know they're readers, and we talked about this. Yeah, she did tell us that, she clarified it, right? But so I know these are ladies that care so much about their knowledge, and they're always sharpening themselves. So I know for them, they're not your average person. But you, listener, I have a reality check, right? I want you to do this for me, Andrea, just for survey purposes, so you can see the importance of this. When you see an Anglo person, un americano, right? Que con ojitos azules, right? ¿Sí ya me entendieron? Entonces,
mi papi chulo.
So, which one though?
Where you at?
So it's Valentine's. I don't know, y'all. I think we're gonna have to talk about something else on this show.
If you're out there, I'm over here.
So no, but and said I love that we can have fun, right? Pero en serio, guys, like I want to ask you to do this. Okay. Please. I challenge you, please. Ask an Anglo. 9 out of 10 when you ask them, hey, have you, and please, if you're listening, write these names down. Hey, quick question. Have you ever heard of Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch? And they're even looking at you like, yeah. Like, what's wrong with you, right? And el mexicano, el latino, pregúntales, and they're looking at you like, bueno, ¿y eso con qué se come o qué? Right. El latino has
yo nomás conozco a Pancho Villa.
A mí háblame de,
es el amigo Pancho.
And so, no, guys, and the reality is that we have to do better as a community, right? And so basically, esos son nombres que si tú los buscas en la cultura americana, they teach on financial principles, right? And so, por eso el americano los conoce, but I had a point because you said free. Maryland, Charles Schwab, Edward Jones. Here, I live in River Oaks. In a 5-mile radius, there is 3 branches. Fidelity, there's a Edward Jones, there's a Charles Schwab in River Oaks. Do you see them in the hood? Do you see them in Magnolia or Denver Harbor? No. And guess what? When you walk in there, they charge you. And guess what else? They don't educate. They're not sitting there telling them, well, come here, Andrea, let me show you what simple interest is versus compound interest. Here, let me tell you what the difference is between a mutual fund and an IRA. No. Basically, it's like walking into your bank and you're like, hey, I have $10,000. No problem. Put it in a CD. Are they explaining how it works? Are they explaining the difference between and how interest is so powerful? So there's a rule called the rule of 72. Have you heard of this rule? And so
Orman talks about that.
Well, she remembers it, or I know when you and I talked, you hadn't heard it. And so that is something that's so critical and so important because I have a testimony really quick, and I know he doesn't mind me sharing it because it's his testimony. And hey, the wisest book in the world says we overcome because of the word of our testimony. You can never argue someone's testimony. And so before I share his testimony, I want to send him a shout out. It's a connector of people, Mr. Aldridge Luther Jack. So that's how I met you. And so the thing
No, you met me through Marilyn Fitz years ago.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. But that was like, you're right. You're right.
That was me.
Oh my gosh. It's because I've been in the hard money lending industry. And so, but a lot of times it's like about the loan and stuff like that. But it wasn't, and I guess, hey, the Lord can use anybody, right? And he used Aldrich to reconnect us.
Reconnect.
And so he has a testimony, and I wish I had my little charts to show y'all, but you can contact me and we'll show you in person. Right. So I showed him the rule of 72. The rule of 72, all it is you research it. It's been in existence for so long. Even Albert Einstein made a comment about the rule of 72, how it is one of the 8 wonders of the world. And it just teaches you how compound interest works and how it is a millionaire's best friend, right? So if you divide the number 72 by the rate someone gives you, let's say 4%, that's 18. It's going to take 18 years for your money to double, right? Lenders love it because if they want to give you an 8% or a 10%, right? And that's why it's known as like a millionaire's best friend. But no one's ever taught us how it can be used for us, right? So Aldrich took our workshop, and Aldrich, I'm like, hey, Aldrich, let's do your PFS, which is another thing that a lot of our culture doesn't know. In the African American culture and the Latino culture, we're the same. We're about the same, right? And so it's time for us to do better, and I'll get into that in a little bit too, of what I see in other cultures versus our cultures. But so Aldrich took our workshop, learned about the rule of 72, learned the difference between a 4% and a 12%. I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
that was
fine.
like
That's reality.
Yeah.
Time to pray.
Time to take a breather.
Take a
Because it's
breather.
gonna get good, y'all.
Hey, your phone's like, calm down.
And so, guys, so then he learned that what the power of interest is. So from 4% all the way to 12%, if you're investing in something, let's say you invested 10,000, right? And you earn 4% in one place and 12% in others. Fast forward to you're 65. You start when 29 years old, okay? And let's say you both did it, right? And Miss Christina took her workshop, so she's gonna do it wisely, right? And Andrea took a little longer because she hasn't, took my workshop.
I'm gonna take her workshop.
And so basically, Christina puts her money where she's earning 12%, and you put it where you're earning 4%. Fast forward, you start when you're 29, and both of you have put 10,000. Okay, you, Christina, will retire with over $500,000. You will only have 40,000. Do you see the point? Not anymore, though. Not anymore, right? But do you see the power of how important it is to know about interest, right? So Aldrich takes our workshop, and now we do a PFS. So when I am sitting down with people who invest in commercial real estate, they don't bring a 1003. They bring something called a personal financial statement, and that is your financial resume of what you look like on paper, right? We know what your disposable income is. We know what your what your net worth is. We know what your assets look like. Okay, so then I teach him, hey, Aldrich, let's do a PFS. Why? Because está bien que el pobre or the middle income might not have all the wealth, but I'm like, okay, but what are your goals from 3 years from now? You, beautician, why are you renting? Let's help you buy your building. You, mechanic, why have you been renting this place for 30 years? Let's get you. So a PFS will help us uncover needs that, yes, it might not look great now, but let's get you out of debt. Let's fix your credit, right? So that's what a PFS is. So we do it on Aldrich. And I'm like, Aldrich, I'm so glad you have a 401k or 403b. High five. Good job. But let's talk about it. Do you know what your average rate of return is? He's like, no, my financial advisor said, just worry about the growth. Don't worry about that. I'm like, no, Aldrich, let's talk about the rule of 72. So he's like, oh, wow. So I'm like, so do you know how much rate? And most people don't know that they didn't know, right? So do you know what your average rate of return is now? And I'm like, let's pull your statement. And I'm like, it's 3%. And he's like, wow. So I was like, so there's vehicles where you can earn up to 12. So then, and I gave him that illustration, right? Okay. So then I'm like, do you know that your investment, it is risky? Do you know that you're losing? And he's like, it goes up and down. You're not always losing. I'm not trying to scare you. And then he's like, no. And I'm like, do you know what it did last year? Because that way you can project where you're going to be, right? He's like, again, he just said focus on the growth. And I'm like, okay, it says here you lost -8%, right?
Oh, wow.
But watch this. When I just tell you that 8%, it doesn't sound like, you're like, what does that even mean? Right? Because we don't know how to calculate it. I'm like, let me show you. You went from 26,000 to 19,000. Okay. And so now what do you think the market's going to do next year? Because history tends to repeat itself, right? So I'm like, let's pull it out and let's put it somewhere safe in your favorite, in annuity, right? And so now he's
my favorite.
And now you're guaranteed interest, and he's earning 13%, and you're guaranteed a lifetime income, right? And so that's what we want to teach you. We want, and everybody again is different, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of
That's awesome. I need to definitely take your workshop. See what you can do with me.
Yeah. For sure,
I think
for
one of
Turn
the
my
biggest
millions
things,
into billions.
Hey, that's how it works.
She was thinking in Las Vegas.
Yes. Of course.
I think the thing is a lot of people think that, just because they see their money, that's what they have. And that's not it at all. Usually the real investors, they put their money somewhere and let it grow. If you put 10,000 in the bank and all you've been doing is basically, adding little tidbits, yes, you're saving, but you're not growing. Okay, because at any spur of the moment, anything can happen. One ambulance picking you up and going to a hospital visit will suck you dry, because if you have a business, and that's another thing, structuring your business correctly is very important, because if you have your business in your name and then you go and you have 26,000 in your bank, or you say that and everybody has the ego, when it says, where do you work? Employment, they're like, business owner. Was like, they're watching over, they're going to get you. The purpose of your LLC is I ain't got shit. I ain't got nothing. And that's the thing is, and so a lot of people, you have to be a little bit more discreet with what you have and learn how to invest and ask people, like Maria and other people that are in her team, because of the fact that you can educate yourself very well. I haven't been able to really make the time to go to as many classes as I should, but I could. And, now, that everything's kind of settled over, that's where my focus is going to be, is the difference between things. And with annuities and things like that, it's because you want money to grow. You have all you women out there doing tandas. And let me tell you,
what tangas?
Tangas.
Not me, never.
That's where they go put $100 a week to get so much back. But what did you gain on that? The person that was taking care of the tanda took one whole week away from you anyway. So you always got one in the hole.
Those are the Herbalife friends.
Right there. That's at Zumba. You learn street math.
So I want to piggyback behind you about that, Andrea. For one, the wealthy. So here's where we have to change our mindset, right? And I have a book club, by the way, and you guys can join the free book club, even if it's by Zoom. Why? Because the wealthy, or the millionaires, the average millionaire reads on average 60 books a year. We don't even make time for one, right? And the purpose of our book club is to duplicate and think like they do, right? And it all starts in your mindset first. So I invite you, and you guys can follow me, Maria Rebollar, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Be with con B de bonita.
There you go.
Hey, the three, what is it? The three B's, bonito, barato.
Bonito y barato.
She's not cheap.
No, we're not be cheap. But no, I want to piggyback behind you because you said something very important. The wealthy invest, right? And first, and the poor and the middle income, we spend. Then we want to save what we don't have because we're spending it, and we're spending it trying to look wealthy for people that don't give a damn, right? And so I want to encourage you to start thinking differently. And so I was sharing with Andrea earlier, like my son. He just got his first wholesale check, right? He's only 18, right?
Awesome.
And so I'm teaching my son, go Chelsea. But and I'm teaching him do what no one taught me to do, because even though I started making money by the time I was 21, I was already a 6-figure income earner. But again, it's not to impress you, it's to impress upon you the importance of financial education, because had someone taught me to put some money aside. And what happens when we have a kid? Oh no, traigan la banda. Oh, bautismo, ¿verdad?
Tráiganse Ramón Ayala.
Y el americano or the wealthy, what do they do? Oh no, scholarships, trust, life insurance. And we got to change our thinking. But it all starts with, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself by, guys. And I promise you, like, I am a product of books. I didn't have the wealthy friends, and so I pretended like the book was talking to me. So then that's how I started just acquiring so much knowledge. But I do want to say this. You said something that's really near and dear to my heart, guys. And I don't care, you can be I wanted to say some names, but I held myself.
I know. She even did the look. She's like,
I was like, let's hold it back.
I know.
Guys,
I saw the hold back.
Right? Here's the thing. I don't care how many investment properties you have. It takes one bad MRI, one bad CAT scan to wipe you clean out all your real estate investments. I lived it with my father. And so, and the thing is that, the number one reason why people declare bankrupt is because of medical expenses, medical bills. So I encourage you.
Yeah, we're like, you just gave me an idea.
Hear me out. There's a statistic, and I don't want to quote it wrong, because sometimes I talk so much about numbers, I forget the exact number. But out of 1,200 people that you meet, only one will experience a house fire. Out of 240 people that you meet will experience a car accident. 1 out of 2 will need help with long-term care. And what that means is that we're living longer because of science and technology. Great. If God gives us a long life on this earth, great. But you don't have to be old for something to happen.
No.
My father turned 65 in the hospital. He was still young, right? And so what happens is that if he would have had a plan in place, if someone would have taught him that there was something out there, and by the time I learned, it was too late. He was no longer insurable. And also, right before that, though, we didn't have a product with people with no social. So, sí, te estoy hablando a ti. Si tú tienes acá 30 años, 40 años, hay productos para ti. Contáctame, yo te ayudo para que tú puedas tener un plan para la jubilación. Because the thing and the reality is, most of us, guys, we don't have a proper plan in place for when we retire. But the wealthy think generations ahead. But why do we just think paycheck to paycheck? Why do we think, oh, I want to buy a home? Look, here's another testimony I want to give you. So I have a broker and a young lady. Last night, we were just on the phone, president of, I don't know what, that organization. And she's also been in real estate. I want to say she said 10 years, right? And so both of these people, we have the broker, right? Very intelligent woman, right? Very intelligent with a PhD, right? And so I'm like, when it's time to retire, what are you going to do? Let's fast forward time. You're 67 to live the rest of your life. And she's a broker. So she's like, well, my plan is, own rental properties. And I'm like, you're a broker. You've been doing this 8 years. You're late. You're late, right? And you have a degree in college, right? And so I'm just saying, you can have more degrees than a thermometer. We have Dr. Dalia Maya. She's a Harvard professor, graduate from Harvard. We have Dr. Anel Garza, professor at University of Houston. They didn't know that they didn't know. They didn't teach them this, right? And so what happens is that because we're living longer, number one, I just showed Andrea how much she needs for her to retire. She has an expensive lifestyle, right?
Yes. But it's not me, it's my kids.
Let's blame it on the kids.
Times four.
Here's the thing, right? Whatever you make a year, you have to do times 20. And that's what you need to have in order to be okay for retirement and outlive retirement, right? But we're not even planning enough for retirement, menos to outlive retirement. So then I'll give you an example. Miss Diane Kilsby, a farmer's agent. I have her permission to share this because this is, again, her testimony, and we overcome by the word of our testimony. So Diane Kilsby has a farmer's agency, right? And she's used to living a lifestyle of $100,000 a year, right? And that's a pretty good lifestyle, right? So when she retired, she was able to sell her book of business and got $100,000, right? And again, we're not thinking about this. We're not thinking about us, menos our aging parents. So then what happened is that her mama got sick. She needed to put her in a nursing home. Miss Diane Kilsby is also older. And she's like, I might need help for me. I can't help my mom. And if you've never picked up someone with dead weight, I lived it. It's very hard. You can hurt yourself. Anyways, it's very hard to take care of someone who's sick and you need to care for them, right? So Miss Diane Kilsby used all her money that she had for her retirement to put her mama in a nursing home. My mom has a friend, and my mom's friend is like, I know Doris. That's my nickname. Don't worry about me. My daughters are going to put me in a nursing home. I'm like, Sylvia. It's like that little boy is like, what does he say when he calls that woman's name? Anyways, I'm like, Sylvia, honey. Your two daughters combined don't make $85,000. That's the average cost of a retirement home in the United States of America. And that's a Walmart brand. And so I'm like, they don't make that together from where? Where are they going to come up with this money? And now let's talk about something else. Fast forward 20 years later when you need it. Inflation, honey. It's going to be more. So what are we going to do? So because you said, Susie Orman, I challenge you to look up her testimony about her mom. We're talking about a woman who's a New York bestseller about finances. We're talking about a woman who's like the number one, financial guru woman in the United States of America. And this woman shares her testimony that she didn't have a plan in place for her mother. And she was spending, I think hers was even something more ridiculous because she wanted her mom to have the same type of lifestyle she has now. And she paid a ridiculous amount of money. But basically, she said she could have saved millions if she would have had a plan in place. So, to finish, because I'll keep going and y'all have to take the mic from me. So I wanted to tell you also, you mentioned something very important. If you have real estate and something happens to you, do you not know that what you own, even your kids, Andrea, if something happened to you and you became disabled and you do not have a will in place or a trust, not a will, the one who dictates what's going to happen if God called you and you had all these rental properties, it will go to probate court. Number one, is expensive. Number two, it's public. And number three, the judge will decide, well, let's pay off her debt first, all the creditors first, and what's left over, you can split with your kids. And so then you need a trust and a will to protect your assets, right? And so then you guys need to contact me so that you can attend the next workshop that we're going to have. It is absolutely free. I'm always promoting it. And this is where I'm going to get after you guys. If you're my friend and you're not sharing my stuff, don't call me friend no more. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I see you, and I see you sharing the Shakira song, and I see you sharing this about all these devil worshippers in Hollywood. That's another subject, right?
Yeah.
And I see you sharing, beauty products by the Kardashians, but you don't support your friends that are trying to, So to me, it's like, no, this is free information, and shame on you if you're not interested, but you're robbing somebody that can.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like, what if Arlex Flores, Salvador Flores, the people who taught me, what if he would have decided, I'm too tired? What if he would have decided, I'm not going because, excuses, ¿verdad? Tenemos tenemos mañanitis, el latino, mañana voy, y nunca va, ¿verdad? What if they would have made the excuse to not go to these workshops? I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here preaching this message to let's leave our generational wealth. Let's leave our families better than what our families left us. Wouldn't it have been nice if your tatarabuelo would have left you 6 million?
Something.
Right? And so I'm teaching my son that when God calls him, and he will, that my son will now also, and myself, leave generational wealth. Now, hear me out. When God calls me, and he will, do you think I'm going to let my kids handle 5 million just because they want to? Right? They're young. What do you think my 18-year-old might do? He might find himself a Amber Heard. Ooh, let's knock on wood, right? Yeah. Or she might find him because he has all this wealth. So I'm going to leave a written instruction and a trust and a will with what they need to do with all that wealth, but also protecting you and your assets. So we're going to have this attorney who also is partner with author of this book. Her name is Sharon Lecter, and she is, if you guys don't know her, she's the author of I think she did
Lecture?
Yeah, Lecture. Yeah.
I went to LA. I know her friend and also.
Oh wow. Look at that. Okay. So thank you. And so what she does is she teaches, she's an American accountant and author, businesswoman, and she teaches people. She did also like Rich Dad, Poor Dad for Women or something like that. And so we're going to have in our workshop, we're going to have our attorney come back, and I'm praying that God connect me with a Texas attorney. I'm calling you out, Gabriel. And I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out too, Andres, because we need a Texas attorney who speaks Spanish so we can teach our comunidad latina.
Yes.
And so I'm very grateful for this attorney that has partnered with us out of Utah. El señor, an attorney Glenn Wagstaff, who's the #1 estate planning firm in the United States of America. And he will come and he will teach you all these principles, because sometimes we'll listen to attorney before they listen to the money doctor, right? And so I challenge you guys, please contact me. Let's just do better as far as, especialmente como Latinos, it's like all this stuff is good stuff to learn that we need to be sharing with our loved ones. It's like if I discover a pot of gold, I'm going to tell the people I love first. Right. So why are my friends not telling people, hey, you need to get with my girlfriend, the money doctor, and she's going to teach you this, that. And I really appreciate, because it's sometimes those people that are not even close to you, sometimes those people that are not even family that are applauding you. So thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth Sachs, because
all those people.
All those people that like believe in me and that applaud me when sometimes not even family applauds you. You know what? Sometimes, and so to me, it doesn't matter because I do it for me. I don't do it to get applause or shares or likes. I do it for me, but I do want to just challenge us to do better, So,
of course.
Yeah.
All right. So you didn't say when's your next workshop?
So I do have 2 live workshops every week, Wednesday and Saturday live, but it's every single day, Monday through Friday. 3 times a day. So then, because, so then contact me again, Maria Rebollar, R-E-B de bonita, O-L-L-A-R. So búscame and and all this again is just free info so we can do better. And so we always bring people that have the credentials, that have a proven track record. And so, like this amazing attorney, like, people who have the same passion to educate. So it's just stuff that we need to hear, because again, we don't know that we didn't know, because I didn't know.
I agree.
I had a 401k. I just did it because everybody told me that it was the best thing to do, right? And so and I didn't understand it, and I didn't know that when I touched it I was taxed and penalized. And if you wait when you retire, I don't mean to scare y'all, because I never discourage free money, because at the end of the day, it's free money, but you got to understand it, you know? And so come to our workshops, you can understand all that. Yeah.
When I went to your
Yeah.
workshop, I really liked it. The gentleman that was speaking, and also was it Mark? No, what was his name?
Coronel Fuente is the gentleman that was speaking.
And then it was the other guy that was with you there.
Martin.
Martin. Yeah, I should have. That's an easy name for me to remember. Yeah, I really like the way they really took the time to they didn't just get on the stage and then get off and take off. He really, stood aside, Martin did, and he really explained certain things that I kind of written down. I wrote down and questions, and he answered it. So it was really good. And then my thing is because you've got so many other agencies out there, and they don't know how to explain their product, because you do have a PHP, you have these direct people, and then you have the WFG. And I really like the effort of education they put out. It's not just a whole lot of hoopla, you know what I'm saying, where you're going to go and yay, they're applauding somebody for doing what they did, but they're not showing you what they did to actually get to where they are. And I really like that y'all shared so much with that.
And I want to emphasize on that too. So there are so many agencies out there. However, when I was first introduced my platform, I was like, let me do some research, because I first need to be convinced for me, and at that time I was married, but that's why he an ex now. No. And at the time, he was, oh my God, that man. And I whatever, he'd always push me to because he was just whatever. I was like, I need to read this for me first, and then I need to convince this man who thinks that he's the smartest man on the planet Earth, right? And so I researched and I digged and I researched, and I wanted to make sure that I am with the best, right? And so to go piggyback behind what you said, there's so many companies that are new. There's so many companies that want to duplicate, right? And that's okay, because hey, there's a guy out there in Chicago that started calling himself Dr. Money, and that's okay, because and there's people that are going to try to duplicate what you're doing. That's fine. At the end of the day, it's like, there's so much business for all of us, right? But the thing about it is that I wanted to make sure that I'm with the best companies. And so hear me out. There are a lot of companies out there, but the companies that I represent, that I have access to, that are my product providers, were also rated like a grade in school. So lenders, for those who are in the lending industry, that a bank is rated an A paper lender, B paper lender, C paper lender. It's like a grade in school. The lower the grade, the less you look financially, right? So if you're a D paper, meaning you're almost failing because your credit score is like 550, there's a loan out there for you. But you can't go to like a Bank of America who's an A paper lender, because they're going to say sorry, right? So then same thing with our industry. We are being the best grade in school. And hear me out, if you're studying or research this, there's only certain companies that can rate us, kind of like your credit score. Nobody else can give you another credit score than the three bureaus, right? Same thing here. Moody's and Ambest. And so A is like the best grade in school, right? And obviously then you keep going and like B, C, D, E, F, whatever. We are an A+ superior rated company. And to me, it's like, I don't want to even say their names to not promote them, right? But there are companies out there that want to duplicate this. And to be very honest with you, because I have a book club, I read the book of Patrick Bet-David. I love that book. Yes. Okay. So then he is one that stole the idea of how we started his own company. He's not even in the industry anymore, and that's okay.
He mentions that. He mentions
that. He says it all in the book, everything, and how they even. So here's what we do. So what we even do is we help license people, and so to me, it's like I'm giving you a higher market value in the U.S., right? So I find you, Christina, and I help license you, or whatever. Someone found me, and what these companies do that I don't think that's very honorable, and I want to be with a company that has ethics, and you have honor, and you have you're honest person, and so you're just an ethical person. So what they do is, he says it in that book, they are headhunters, and they will come find you after I've already trained you and licensed you, and then like, hey, well, let me offer you a higher contract. And to me, I'm like, sir, can you go find your own Christina? And can you go, that's fine, anyways. But I put in the work, I help license her. I just don't think that's right, And so to me, again, I could sit here all day if you give me a mic.
No, but I like that. No, we're raw. We are raw.
I am real.
We go out there. We're very real. We're very raw because of the fact that our point, Andrea and I, is to bring the truth out. You know, when you talk about certain tainment, we're that real tainment. We're going to bring the real shit because of the fact that, you know, so many people like to mask the truth just to convince you. Now, when she says there's headhunters, there's people out there just spending their little dollars to try to take a test and become an agent and don't know what to do. The education's not behind it. The knowledge, you know, because there's people on more modest levels of income than what, you know, we are, but you have to be able to give that person with the modest income the same respect and attention, because, you know, it's not just, you know, the commission base of it all. It's great. Commissions are great. That's what you work for. But the problem is that people completely dismiss the integrity of the product. And I really liked when you explained some things, and then Martin also explained some things to me. It was the actual explanation that gave me the okay and not the red flag. You know, so many people have really just, you know, talked about their product, because everybody comes at me. They know
it's like a lender. They all want your business.
They all want your business because they know where they could tip the scale with where you're at. But what about this lady that just asked you a question and you ignored her? So if I was in her position, you're going to ignore me. So I just don't, I can't relate to people like that. I think you have to be very honest and just carry some integrity and know the product and deal with somebody that knows the product that they're offering. And like she said, you know, it's out there, the truth, and there's a bunch of companies out there, but I can say safely, I really appreciate all the education and the time and the effort, because it's like Andrea and I, we put our time out there, and Maria's always, you know, doing her book club, bringing people in. It's her passion. Once our kids get big, that becomes our passion.
Yeah. And that's nice that you take the time to do all that. I'm like, how do you have time? But your kids are big.
Yeah, my kids are older. But see, the thing is, they weren't with me when they were little behind a desk. And that's what I shared. I was able to share. So I give God all the glory. I was able to share in front of 2,500 people at the George R. Brown this weekend, my testimony. And my testimony is like, I challenge you, single mamas, don't use your kids as an excuse for your failure. And I know there's so many of my friends, when we started, like, but I don't have a babysitter. Neither did I. My kids had dinner behind the desk. I have pictures of my baby sleeping and doing their homework behind the desk. You know, was it hard? Absolutely. You know, it just, you know, these are tears of joy, you know, because the thing is, when they were little, like, you know, in the beginning, they were like my biggest cheerleader, you know, they're like, Mom, so what, you know, what ranking are you in now? You know, because we always do little fun contests and stuff like that. But it got to a point like, Mom, again, another weekend. And I'm like, I know, baby, you know, but fast forward, you know, that's why my baby's at UT Austin studying aerospace engineering. It's his third year. Now you have my baby who got his first wholesale check, who has a plan in place where he is guaranteed to retire a millionaire, because compound interest and los números no mienten.
Comfortably.
Yes, honey.
That's a big word.
One. Yeah,
that's a big word. Comfortably. Mama's showing him, because, and I'm sorry to cut that, but it's very important. Oh,
no, it's because when it comes to my baby, no, again, because you know, they did pay the price, Andrea. They paid the price with me, but now they reap the benefit, girl.
Because we all kind of been through that, you know, when your kids sacrifice for a little bit, but then
when a mother speaks like she's speaking right now, it's because we've held those tears back, and that joy is accomplishment. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. And that girl.
Yeah, and I remember my baby, y'all, he couldn't even talk. He always had a problem with the R's, right? And y'all, you know, I'm writing my book because, you know, and I remember I didn't have a babysitter, so I was pregnant and I would have to take him, and he couldn't even talk, and he already knew I'd knock on doors because you're approaching. I'm like, realtor, so be like, realtor, right? Because you're gonna say the R. And so I'm saying, you know, and one time y'all was showing the property, and I was like, where is he? Why was he out on the patio peeing because he knew that when I'm when I'm presenting, baby, just hang on, don't interrupt mommy, so he took it upon himself to go, and I was, oh my God, right? But the thing is, like, don't use that as an excuse, because you're hear me out. I have a sister, right? And that's what I tell her. She's like, oh, the school's horrible. I want to get it. And I'm like, okay, so that is your why. You need to be in the office as early as you can and as late as you can. I get it, but I don't have a babysitter. But do this for them now. That is your why. Put them in a private school, right? Because, but they deserve this. But you get what you work for, right? And so no, and so here's the other thing too, traveling the world. That's the other thing we do. And so we do have, I do sponsor licenses, not just for our financial platform, but real estate license. So, I challenge you guys to get in contact with us. If you're tired of being tired, you're looking to do something, give me a call and I can help reinvent yourself by adding a higher market value to you by adding more licenses. So we'll train because we need more, especialmente la comunidad latina que también predica este mensaje, so we'll train you guys. And so it starts with you taking the workshops. So yeah, perfect.
I really want to thank you for all that, and then sharing your emotions and your success. I mean, your success is seen by just you walking in. You can just see the success over you, because you're claiming it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have success and they don't know how to claim it, and you claim that, and that makes it a very beautiful thing. And one of the main things is I was talking about to my son on the way over here about financial education. So my son had said, man, Alana's teacher just texted me, Mom. I said, what did she say? She said that, they have to learn how to subtract. I said, we're going to start with the Skittles. We're going to start with the Skittles. And then at the same time, you're trying to implement, money in these things. There's financial literacy. If you start your kids young, they're going to end up really well at the end.
And I want to, I guess, finalize with this. If you find your passion, you'll find your purpose. And to me, this is my passion. And that's why when I talk about it, it's different from someone who's just trying to make a sale. No, I am passionate about this. And that's because I didn't even share my daddy's story. I had me crying about my babies. So then, but I just want to say this. I am in schools. I am in companies. I'm in churches. If churches can have a marriage ministry, a children's ministry, where's your financial ministry, right? And a lot of churches, like my sister's church, they charge for these courses that I give for free, you guys. So y'all got to give me a call and I can go to your school and teach your baby how 1 penny a day can also help them. And any baby sees a penny, they get excited, right? So we got to teach our children this, and I'll bring a money machine where we're teaching our kids, the parents. I want to get to the parents, so call me. This is the one time I get to say, Christina, use me, right? No se chiflen, but
I'm a lucky girl.
But yeah, so
and where can they reach you at? Let's give them your number.
So my number is 713-551-6299, or social media, Maria Rebollar, R-E-B de bonita. Or you change the B to D, it's dollar, right? But so
don't do that. You're gonna confuse them. I've been confused for so many years.
So it's just so that you can remember the name, right? But reach me, and then I'm partnering with this beautiful lady here. So whatever, if you've been following her, obviously, and Andreas, because y'all trust them, and and they will never bring someone in front of you that they've not vetted out first. So give me a call, and so I look forward to it. And thank y'all so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Y recuerde, toda mi gente que habla español, sabes que yo estoy un poquito tortemuda en todo español, pero tengo a alguien que les puede explicar todo en español. Yo creo que es algo bien importante porque
hey, they're gonna come. They're like, hey,
speaking Spanish.
No, sí, tenemos talleres.
Vamos a ver a la Kim,
a la María, la Kardashian de los latinos. Yo no sé dónde está, yo no sé, no la veo, ¿verdad? Pero no, lo tenemos en español, so por favor comuníqueme. Y también tenemos oportunidades de ayudarte a sacar tu licencia en español con el estado, so contáctemos, no importa en qué ciudad, tengo oficinas en 50 estados. And I want to come back and talk to the realtors about how you can have a realtor broker mentality.
Exactly.
So so we'll come back and hopefully we'll bring the attorney, no sé cuál de ellos, ¿verdad? Itty bitty you know, Mighty Mo. We need one in Texas.
Well,
right?
I got Joaquin Perez. He's
Oh,
a really
wow.
good. His dad's my civil attorney.
Okay.
And I've been having him for a long time, but he's retiring, so I'll tell Joaquin.
Yeah.
I'll definitely tell Joaquin because he does all that
Awesome.
stuff, the trust and stuff.
Wow.
So, guys,
Okay.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Maria.
much.
Really,
Yes.
thank you so
That's
much. And
thank
bringing all that
y'all.
information and knowledge. And like I said, that's what we do, right? Andrea?
Yes.
Yes. Bring
Yes.
the value.
Bring the
Nothing but value.
All right, guys, y'all
Thank
have a
you.
great one.
All right.
Oh, and
bye.
then happy Valentine's.
Oh, yeah, happy Valentine's.
And
Is
we
today
also have
Valentine's?
no, every day
like-
Valentine's for us. But if you guys are single or not, and you want an activity, we're doing janitors for roses for janitors, and so that's a really beautiful thing. Yeah. So, and you also want to vote for your politicians who are doing stuff for you, especially in real estate that
Right.
knows our industry, right? So, I invite you guys to come out for roses for janitors. It's a sweet
That's
cause.
gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, guys, y'all heard it here.
All right. We'll see you next